This podcast of the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour presented by Firehouse Subs is sponsored by AAA Heating and Air.
The premier HVAC company in the Midlands is growing. Are you a top HVAC technician?
AAA Heating and Air is looking for dedicated applicants to fill their fast-growing service department with top-notch HVAC technicians.
If you're the best, then they want you. If you're ready to stop working and start a career, you can earn up to $100,000 plus a year at AAA Heating and Air.
Quality candidates will have at least 2 years experience and a good driving record. Benefits include top industry salaries, commission on service and unit sales, set call limits, company-provided take-home vehicle and gas card, company-provided cell phone and tablet, health, dental, and vision benefits, 401k retirement plan with company match, and scaled PTO based on length of service.
Contact Roy and Dana Finley at 803-677-1500 or check out their job postings on Facebook or ZipRecruiter.
AAA Air when you need us. AAA Heating and Air.
Station. It's the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour with Chris Clark, Wes Mitchell, and Tyler Head on your home of the Gamecocks in Columbia. 107.5 The Game on 100.3 The Game in Myrtle Beach and 100.5 The Game in Florence.
What does My Carolina mean to me? It means playing for great, legendary baseball coaches like Bobby Richardson and June Raines, and knowing another legendary baseball coach in Ray Tanner. My Carolina means to me 2001. It means remembering a lot of great classmates from the 1970s and the business school at the University of South Carolina.
Welcome into the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour presented by Firehouse Subs. Tyler, West, and Chris along with you in the Herndon Chevrolet studios. That, of course, was the voice of Tommy Moody, talking a little bit about what South Carolina meant to him, and of course we've been reacting to it all morning long, sharing our thoughts and our tributes to Tommy's untimely and shocking passing. We all learned about that last night. We've been, again, sharing stories about him all morning long, and Wes and Chris, you guys have been a part of not only covering the Gamecocks, but the Gamecocks fandom for a long time, and you certainly know just what Tommy Moody meant to Gamecock athletics.
Yeah, it's I knew we would talk about this morning to remember Tommy, and I tried at first to think about what I may say, and then I realized it just wouldn't measure up, wouldn't be able to capture it, so decided not to worry about that and just kind of share some memories and try to remember him. And man, it was tough walking in this morning and seeing his desk, with all his papers on it, all the stats, all the memorabilia. Some people already leaving some tributes there, and that was tough to see because that was honestly one of the best parts walking in here was hearing Tommy. He wasn't in here every day I came in, but oftentimes he'd be over there hard at work scripting the Tommy Moody show, and we give a "Hey Chris," and on the way out, "See you later, Chris. Have a good one." And it was always just a joy to talk to him. He loved his family. He was an absolute legend. I just loved hearing from him. He's just one of those people you love talking to because he was just so kind, so nice. Someone that I could aspire to be like and would like to be more like. But he, just hearing an obscure fact of which pitcher with a nickname from the 1980s threw a no-hitter for the Pittsburgh Pirates, or, a Gamecock fact. He just had something for everybody. And there was not, for my money, in my opinion, there was not many things better or more pure than going out on the porch in the spring and having a beverage and listening to Tommy call Gamecock baseball. Was about as good as it gets. So it's going to be tough leaving here today and not seeing him over there and being able to chat with him one more time. So got to know his daughter, Casey. And we're going to miss Tommy for sure.
Yeah, I think I was trying to remember when I met Tommy, and I feel like Tommy's one of those guys you just feel like you've always known him. Like I was like, when did I don't remember meeting Tommy. It's just like I've known him. And I certainly got to know him better once we started doing the show in here. Like Chris said, literally every single time I walked by to leave, have a good one, Wes. Always by name. Always like took the time. And, I think when sometimes when people pass away, you always say like nice things about them. But with Tommy, it's, I told several people, I was like, he literally might be the actual nicest person I had ever met. And, I do not say that lightly. I do not say that with exaggeration. So many of my friends that are South Carolina fans, and have been following the programs for years, texted me and, either had met Tommy a couple of times or had, some of them had never met him. And they were like, I feel like I knew him just because that's kind of who he was. And I think if you ever listen to one of his broadcasts, like that's kind of the ultimate compliment you can give a broadcaster is you want for the people listening to feel like they're just sitting on a couch with you watching the game, basically. And, Tommy was that to a lot of people. A lot of people have a lot of great South Carolina sports memories that have a call from Tommy over top of it. And, as I've got, I frankly, I've never been like the person who cares a ton about history when I was younger. And, I think we all we reach this point at different ages, but I'm at the point in my life where I don't have living grandparents anymore. So I remember Tommy actually stopped me. It would have been, I guess, a month ago. Because he would sometimes just have something on his mind that he just wanted to share. And he stopped me and he gave me the complete history of South Carolina Furman going into that game. And I was sitting there and it was actually very interesting because, one of my honestly personal, great regrets is that I didn't get more stories, from my grandparents when they were alive. So I really tried to just listen. And I feel like not only have we all lost, a great person, a great friend, and condolences to his family, because I know what Gamecock fans, they kind of probably feel like something's missing right now. I felt like that when I woke up and kind of reprocessed the news. So I can't imagine what his family and super close friends are going through. So condolences to them. But Tommy, when he was telling that story, I really kind of felt like I was hearing a story from my grandpa. Yeah. And, Tommy just had a way of making you feel comfortable and making you feel like you mattered. And, so not only do we lose a great person, but I think we have to cherish people who can provide context and history. And in some cases with Tommy, it was firsthand accounts, but in other cases, it's because he was such an encyclopedia, a wealth of knowledge that, frankly, is now lost.
And it brought him so much joy to share that information with people. And that's what he had the opportunity to do with the Tommy Moody show. And you mentioned, he was in here a lot of days on his computer, going through magazines and books and newspapers. And Bill and Preston asked the question this morning, what do you think the oldest thing on his desk is? There's no telling. There could be something from the 1930s over there. But he had so much information that he wanted to share with people. And he got the opportunity to do that a couple times a week on the Tommy Moody show. And as I've been encouraging people all morning long, and this isn't a plug to go to our website, but we have episodes of that are uploaded there. If you want to go back and listen to him talk about, the greatest running backs in South Carolina history, the top 50 players in South Carolina history, the history of, South Carolina and North Carolina, it's all there. And certainly take the opportunity to listen to some of that, because again, he poured so much each and every day into providing that history, because he got so much enjoyment, not just knowing it, but telling people about it.
There was there's a ball on his desk.
I was thinking about this very same thing.
So
the football, the red football.
There's a red football.
Who
It's
knows?
still in good shape. I meant to go out there. I didn't want to mess with anything, but we'll find out when it was from. But it was definitely from the 60s or 70s. I think from the 60s, honestly. It's a red football, and it looks new. Like, it's in good shape.
It was actually made of pigskin, that kind of thing.
No, it's like one of those plastic little footballs that like the cheerleaders
They throw out at a high school game.
I know.
High school games.
Okay, I know what you're talking about.
So it's the red ball from a Carolina game. Well, Spencer Rattler was in here one day, and I think we had just had him on the show. Maybe we were cutting some spots or whatever, and he went out there and met Tommy. Probably the first time they've met. And so Tommy, as he did, started telling Spencer about some of his knickknacks that he had over there. You know, hey, check this out, look at this. And he showed him this football. And Spencer had been, a few of the other people in the lobby out here near the cubicles in the office, they had been asking him for some signatures, you know, on a couple items. Spencer graciously did that. And so Tommy showed it to him and started telling him about it. But Spencer, when he gets handed a football, goes into Spencer mode and thinks he should be signing it. And so he's like, you want me to sign this? And Tommy said, Tommy, being the nice person he did, he wasn't worried about ruining memorabilia from the 1960s. He said, sure. Yeah, go ahead. And Spencer kind of thought about it again.
Spencer then was like, he's like, wait, you sure you want me to sign this? Yeah. And Tommy's like, go ahead.
So it's out there. You got a ball, Tommy Moody.
1960.
Spencer thought he would devalue something by putting his name on it.
Yes. But Tommy, of course, is like, no, you go for it. Wasn't worried about it at all. So there's a ball from the 1960s signed by Spencer Rattler.
Unique.
Out there.
Unique.
That is that's a perfect embodiment of who Tommy Moody was. As nice as could be. You mentioned the people that listened to him. They never got the opportunity to meet him. I saw a lot of people tweeting this last night, people that have weighed in on the Firehouse Subs text line as well. Just, it felt like you knew him. It felt like he was your buddy or friend. And I've only been doing this job here at the game for 10 months and only got to meet Tommy around last December, January, whenever it was. But I feel like I've known him for 30 years. Like, that's just kind of the person he was, and, you know, the relationship he built with every single person, whether it be somebody you talk to every single day or somebody that you just met in a passing circumstance. He was one of a kind.
Yeah, he was. And I think, I hope he knew, like, how many people he positively affected in his life. This is obviously, I think, a shock and a surprise to many. But I had a buddy who kind of found out what I do. This was like 2 weeks ago. And he was like, hey, so you know Tommy Moody? And I was like, yeah. He's like, man, I'd love to meet him. And I was like, come by the station. I'm sure he'd love to.
He'll meet you.
Well, I was like, he'll walk out there and probably talk to you for an hour.
Tommy would open the door for everyone.
Yes.
You hear a knock on the door, and Tommy was the first one to jump up there and open and welcome you inside. He didn't even ask what you're here for. Come on in. How's it going? How you doing? How's your day? All that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
He will be missed.
There's more than one person who said that he's the nicest person they met. And when you said that, I mean, I had that thought, Wes, but when you said it, I'm like, yeah, I can't really think of anybody nicer.
Yeah,
I mean, he's just the best.
Absolutely. And we'll continue to honor him and continue to pay tribute to him, not only today, but certainly going forward. But I said this earlier, I can't think of a more fitting way to pay tribute to Tommy than to do what he loved to do. Now let's talk about the Gamecocks. And that's what we'll do coming back. We'll hear a little bit of what Coach Beamer had to say yesterday at the presser as we get set for the Gamecocks and the Tigers coming up this weekend. That's coming up here on the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour presented by Firehouse Subs on the Game.
It's the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour with Chris Clark, Wes Mitchell, and Tyler Head on your home of the Gamecocks in Columbia, 107.5 The Game. Also heard on 100.3 The Game in Myrtle Beach and 100.5 The Game in Florence.
Welcome back in. It is the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour presented by Firehouse Subs. Here on the Game, Tyler, Wes, and Chris along with you in the Herndon Chevrolet Studios. Captain Dave on the other side of the glass. Producing Day, a little bit of a different setup than what we're used to, but we're seeing if maybe we're going to roll with this going forward. We'll see. Of course, Coach Beamer yesterday in his usual Tuesday press conference, sponsored as always by Pete Ale Wine Pools and Spas, speaking about a number of things, and as expected, was asked a lot of questions about the defense. Here's a quick cut from Coach Beamer talking about some changes as far as the defense is concerned yesterday.
No, obviously it wasn't good enough, David. Some of the stuff that we've talked about when we call pressures, we got to be aggressive and have a mentality to get there, and you got to win, and we got to be smart about when we're calling them. I told the team this morning, I think we played 86 plays on Saturday, so that's way too many plays. We got to get off the field. And in those 86 plays, I think over 40 of them, we played man coverage. Man coverage with a safety in the middle or zero blitz coverage, meaning there is no help. And when that happens, one, we got to win up front, and then we got to play with great technique. And we called that much man coverage because we have great confidence in our defensive backs to perform. And, when you're on an island, we don't line up here at South Carolina and just play, two deep coverage every time and protect our corners over the top with safeties. We're aggressive, and that's why, that's why Cam Smith and Darius Rush and those guys are on NFL teams right now, and why Carlins Patel got an opportunity with the Steelers, and on and on and on, because of the style we play and the way we coach our guys up. And certainly every week is different. You want to continue to put your guys in position to make plays, but no, it hasn't been good enough. No, but there's also been a lot of really, really good that we've done this year defensively as well. We just have to be better, and it's technique, it's scheme, it's the calls we're making, all that stuff. So we're looking at everything, but it wasn't good enough Saturday, but we're not far off either.
And that goes back to what he said after the game on Saturday about, focusing on, hey, we're calling this, we're calling that. It's up to the guys on the field to execute. And again, if you're putting them in position, it's up to them to make plays. And up to this point, there's been a lot of situations they just haven't made the plays that they needed to.
I think football is sometimes it's difficult to assess where the actual issue is, because it is almost always some combination of everything. People say, is it talent? Is it scheme? Is it play calling? Is it development? It is literally always all of those things. And you kind of have to try to determine, how does this pie break up? Where's the biggest percentage of, issue, basically? What is the biggest issue among all those things? So, now you can improve. If you improve one of those areas, you can improve your overall defense. I think the frustrating thing for South Carolina right now, and watching this defense, and for fans, is you're very close to making a lot of these plays. Like, I think that it's been a little bit unfair, the reaction to the nickelback play this past week, because this wasn't even the same as what we saw in Mississippi State. Now, the results, yes, I get it. Results business, the results were the same. But you had some wide open receivers against Mississippi State. This is just man-to-man, 1v1, ball is in the air. Sometimes the DB makes the play. Sometimes the receiver makes the play. And yes, Florida made too many of those plays. I get that. I'm not arguing against that. But I do think there were some technique things there that South Carolina just has to finish a couple more of those plays, which maybe makes it even more frustrating. The plays were there to be made. They did the hard part. Now you got to finish it. Both pass rush into this and back end coverage, ball in the air end of this.
Yeah, and to your point about it being complex, right? So let's just kind of simplify this. So you've got the fact that there's been a lot of talk with personnel. You've tried out a few different guys. We said this, Keenan Nelson was your game one starter. DQ Smith started some games there. You've had Kawan Banks in there a little bit. You've had Spalding in there a little bit. And Nick Ebenwari started the past two games. Well, you have a personnel shift because you don't have the same guys you had last year. You don't have Cam Smith, who you plug in at nickel like you did against Tennessee and Clemson last year. You don't have Darius Rush playing another one of the corner spots. So there's some personnel differences. And Nick Ebenwari is a different type of player than Cam Smith, right? It's just different. They both have their strengths. Is Ebenwari as good in coverage? No. He's a different type of player. All right, so you've got that. And that is, like you said, Wes, more of kind of a personnel issue. But you've also got, it's a fair conversation to say, well, if you have these things that have happened kind of consistently, different types of plays, right? Different types of plays, like you said. Sometimes it's been guys running open. Sometimes it's just not finishing on a play. But there has been consistency to the struggles overall. So it's a fair conversation to have. Should you adjust some things? You want your identity to be man coverage. You want your identity to be aggressive. But so far, you haven't been able to do that with sustained success. And so that's where it comes in of there's different aspects to this. Do you need guys to finish plays? If you can't play man coverage at some point, you're going to struggle, right? But if you can't adjust to the strengths of your players, you're also going to struggle. So it has to be all those things at once.
Yeah, and I think it is also very easy to sit there and say, hey, well, don't leave those guys in man coverage. But or give them more help, or hey, play more zone. Mm-hmm. The second you do that and you don't get pressure on a guy, I mean, we've talked for 2 years about them trying to be better against the run. Guess what? To shut down good rushing attacks, you also have to take chances there as well. You have to put extra guys up there. There's a reason why, it's 11 on 11. And that sometimes you drop guys back, sometimes you bring everybody, sometimes you do some combination of the two. But, I mean, all I heard after the Georgia game was South Carolina was not aggressive enough defensively in the second half. So, yeah, when you double someone, you say, hey, guys, the slot receiver's having a career day. Double this guy. Okay. Well, now you can't rush that guy. When the second you take someone and you double team, you're out of numbers. You can double him and have another safety deep, but you can't rush 5. You can double him and rush 5. Now you don't have a safety helping out with anyone else. So then you're saying, well, hey, why is that guy left in one-on-one coverage? Because there's nobody left. There's only so many guys you can put out there. So I think ultimately, do you have to continue to adjust just because it's not working? Of course. But you can't complain about there being too much cushion on the outside and then turn around and complain about, well, now you're being too aggressive, because ultimately you got to just have to find a way to play better defense. You got to finish the plays on the field, I think, is ultimately the issue.
Not that South Carolina's defense was incredible last year, because now we're starting to zoom out and look at the bigger body of work too. But what is the difference between this year and last year? What's the primary difference?
Turnovers?
No. And why they're struggling. There's 2 of them. Number one.
No Cam Smith and no Darius Rush.
That is the main reason. So it's personnel. So, look, everybody always wants to turn it just to, that's what comes up number one normally in the court of public opinion is, well, the coaches aren't getting it done, right? And again, I've said plenty of my piece about needing to adjust and finding a way and things like that. But there's not a new staff. There's not really new techniques. It's the same defense. Personnel is your biggest issue, right? So that's why we talk about recruiting so much. Now, I've seen a lot of people saying, well, Washington State's playing well. Duke's had a good year. All right, if they win their conference and they're in the playoff every single year, then we can start talking about how you don't have to have top 10, top 15 classes to be really good teams, right?
Right.
Has Duke beat, they beat Clemson when they were ranked, but have they beat like a highly ranked team yet? No. They've done a great job.
Yeah.
They've done a great job. But are they going to be a great team year in and year out, recruiting like they do? No, they're not. That's why we talk about recruiting and personnel so much.
Yeah, for sure. But I think turnovers, when you take a team that's getting a lot of turnovers too, and then magically they're not, it changes the picture.
Yes.
Changes the perception completely. Also, I will add, I don't feel like there is an elite right now, how they're playing. I'm not saying they can't be. I don't think there's an elite difference maker on this defense with the way they've played through 6 games. Mm-hmm. You look around the league, they're really good. How many teams has South Carolina played this year where Shane Beamer, maybe some of his coach speak, but hey, they are really, really, even Mississippi State, their linebackers are great. Hey, this team is great here. Tennessee has developed a great defensive line, I feel like. They get after you. So who's the guy? We had it kind of circled. Hey, it's probably going to be Nick Emawari. He may be the best player on this defense coming in. Who's the guy who can take that next step and be a disruptor, whether that's down the field or whether that's up front? Who's going to be the elite guy for you? Because in this league, just having even good players across the board, it's tough to live week in, week out with what you face off against.
Be very interested to see what Clayton White has to say today about the defense. We'll hear from the coordinators later on today. Getting into more of some of the Beamer stuff coming up is he confirmed something that we've been saying a lot over the past couple of months. We'll get to that coming up. You're listening to the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour presented by Firehouse Subs here on The Game.
Process is definitely a step harder. Like just the plays are longer. There's more to a play, and then with me switching positions, go from the defense to the offensive side, it wasn't gonna be coming in 100 yards a game. I thought that's how it was gonna be. The first day I stepped on the field, it wasn't like that. So, me, I just had to slow down. My thoughts. I'm everybody should I see different freshmen, going, doing what they do, and then my time's coming, I'm slowly building into it. So I just gotta keep growing, and then them 100-yard games gonna come sooner or later.
Welcome back into the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour presented by Firehouse Subs. Tyler West and Chris Long with you. That was the voice of Nick Harbor yesterday talking about the learning process coming along here as a wide receiver for the Gamecocks. We'll get to those thoughts in just a moment, but checking my watch here, it is lunchtime. That means there's a delicious sub of the day waiting for you at Firehouse Subs.
There is, and today is Wednesday, which,
your favorite.
New York Steamer, right?
New York Steamer, absolutely.
Well, tomorrow is Thursday, which means they should come hang out with us. We'll be live all 3 hours, 9 a.m. to noon. Lexington, Firehouse Subs. Chris, you got that address in front of you?
That's right down the street from me.
There you go, Tyler. Short drive for you, 109 Old Chapin Road.
Yes, come out. You maybe can even steal a couple sandwiches from the buffet that Larry and his team will have for us. Okay, Chris says you can't have it. But New York Steamer today, come out. Try the new King's Hawaiian sub that they've brought back. The pepperoni pizza meatball sub still around. Thank goodness. Garlic bread, amazing. Once again, shout out to our friends at Firehouse Subs. Absolute best way to do it is to hit the Rapid Rescue either online, FirehouseSubs.com, or download the Firehouse Subs app.
And again, that was Nick Harbor a second ago talking about the learning process coming along as a receiver halfway through the season. Coach Beamer went even further in the details of what Harbor's learning process has been. Said a lot of things that we've been saying. Here's what Beamer had to say yesterday.
Yeah, he's right. For people to just sit there and say, okay, well, this guy was a 5-star recruit, so just throw him out there and let him go. I wish it was that simple, guys. People that, think that don't always have a great understanding of what playing football is like. There's a lot. And our offense is every offense in the country is a little bit more complex than just, hey, line up on the right side and run a 12-yard curl. And that's all you have to do. There's adjustments and there's blocking assignments. And yet we do a lot offensively, and there's motions. And once you get in the right place, you got to be able to make plays and make catches and things like that. And first of all, I'm glad that Nick said that, and he's right. It is a process, and he's made the progress that he's had because he works his butt off. First of all, he watches Xavier Leggett every day and learns from him. And just the time that Nick puts in to everything, it's evident. Xavier works really, really hard. All of our guys do. But, Nick's up here all the time just trying to get extra work and extra meeting time. And coach is up here at night, and he'll pop in here at, 8:30, 9 o'clock on a Tuesday night, just to watch tape with the coaches and stuff like that. So he's put the time in from a mental standpoint. And also, too, we got to be smart. When we have good players, we got to make sure that we're not asking them to do too much schematically where they can't get on the field. So don't misunderstand what I'm saying, but we can't be so simple that we just run the same 2 plays every time either. So Nick's worked really hard to get a better understanding of things mentally, and then with the way that he's worked, when you know what to do, you're able to play faster and play with more confidence. And that's what I've seen with him, is playing with more confidence, catching the ball more consistently, and was so happy for him to to make that catch Saturday, and not just make the catch, but play, I think, 29 plays, whatever it was. And talked to him yesterday downstairs in the hallway, and he was so excited about, getting to play and getting to play more this week too.
You think people believe it more now that Beamer talked about it?
No. I think the fact that Nick himself talked about it too is noteworthy, in my opinion. And, I don't know, man. It's one of those things where I get it. 5-star player. I get, you see the 5 stars by his name, and this guy is one of the most unique athletes we have ever seen in South Carolina football history, frankly. I don't think that's hyperbole, but playing the wide receiver position, there is a ton that goes into it at this level, including actually, honestly, consistently in practice catching the football. And so that's an area that Harbor has worked really hard to improve. Great athlete, great kid. He is learning all the nuances of this position. And, hey, when he's had a chance, he has gone out there and performed. So I think when you do that, it earns you more opportunities. Also, I think just because he's doing it now does not mean that he could have done everything he's doing now 6 weeks ago, because players aren't static. You develop, you get better, you get more comfortable. And I thought if you haven't listened to the whole press conference from Nick, go check it out. Go watch it online. It is. I thought it was very good, very detailed, and worth listening to.
Well, and just look at the guy that Beamer mentioned, and Nick Harbor shouted out as well, Xavier Leggett, right? Xavier wasn't a 5-star. He wasn't an Olympic-level track athlete. He was not rated as highly. But people who paid attention knew he's a freak athlete, right? Different type of athlete, different type of guy. Didn't have a huge offer list, didn't have the accolades. But he's someone that it literally took not 1 year, not 6 weeks, year 5. He had 18 catches last season. 7 of them were in the bowl game. The year before that, he had 8 catches in 13 games. He's put it together this year, right? And is a super hard worker and has overcome a lot. So even like Harbor's made some strides, right? But even that one catch, which is a great catch, I mean, good for him. Great play, great one-on-one play with a guy on him, adjusted to the ball, not just a regular catch, like adjusted to the ball. That in and of itself is not some firm proof that, well, he should have been playing 60 snaps, right? Like there's increments to this, there's levels, there's strides that have to be made, and hopefully for him and for South Carolina, he'll continue to come along in that regard.
I think that we also have to continue to point out the difference between 5-star wide receiver and 5-star athlete. There was a reason he was categorized for the entire process as being an athlete, and that was originally he was going to be an edge rusher. Then he was going to be a tight end. Then, hey, guess what? He's playing wide receiver. It was newsworthy that he was going to play wide receiver because he really has not played wide receiver throughout his high school career. And guess what? Even his football time was split by, rightfully so, his sort of his track pursuit.
Yeah, absolutely. And you saw how excited Beamer was on Saturday when he finally made that catch. People, you can put your tinfoil hats away. Nobody's trying to hold him back. They're just making sure he's developed and ready to go to perform the way they need him to perform. In fact, Beamer was so excited, nearly jumped over him. I wish somebody would have gotten a picture of that on Saturday. If you did get a picture of it, the perfect place where you can get it framed.
Ooh, wow.
That was a really good one.
On his game today. Caught me off guard, but you can go to Gold Line Framing. Check out our friends at Gold Line Framing in West Columbia. And you know what? Some people are just hard to buy for. They're hard to find presents for. Maybe there's a sports fan in your life that has a perfect, just their favorite signed print or signed poster. Why don't you have a custom framing job done at Gold Line Framing and then throw it on the wall in the man cave, 511 12th Street, in-store. They got art gallery, home decor, furniture, and gift items. If you have questions, call them today, 803-739-1337. And they are open Tuesday to Friday, 10 a.m. to 5:30 p.m., and then Saturday, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. On Instagram at Gold Line Framing. Hit up our friends at Gold Line Framing today.
We'll take a look at the injury report, including an unexpected member of it, coming up. You're listening to the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour, presented by Firehouse Subs, here on The Game.
It's the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour with Chris Clark, Wes Mitchell, and Tyler Head on your home of the Gamecocks in Columbia, 107.5 The Game. Also heard on 100.3 The Game in Myrtle Beach and 100.5 The Game in Florence.
Don't touch my V-neck sweater. 1 and 2 and a 1, 2, 3.
Welcome back into the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour, presented by Firehouse Subs. Tyler, West, and Chris along with you for a few more minutes. Dive into the injury report in just a moment. If you break your foot, you probably need some good insurance. Speaking of good insurance, thanks as always to our friends over at Amy Mason Cup State Farm for being such a great supporter of the show.
Tyler, do you have a Rolodex of like templates for segues that you do?
No, I usually think of them on the fly about 10 seconds before.
That is a talent. I wish I could purchase that from you.
Impressive.
Yes, I wish I could purchase it. But you can purchase insurance, though. Brand name quality insurance. You can do it at a cheaper rate, too, than you might be accustomed to. If you have not looked over your insurance in a while, if you don't know what type of coverage you have, if you don't know what you're paying, if you're interested in saving, you can switch and save with our friend Amy Mason Cup. Her office is right off of I-26, 612 St. Andrews Road, Suite 4 in Columbia. Her website, amymasoncup.com. That's MASINCUPP.com. amymasoncup.com or 803-772-5554. My family trusts her for our insurance. She can do anything for you. Auto, business, boat, renters, life, any types of insurance products that you need. She can take care of you. South Carolina native, local agent. They can give you a personalized quote to meet your needs and help you save. amymasoncup.com. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
I imagine Coach Beamer has some good insurance, as he revealed yesterday in the press conference that he broke his foot Saturday after the game against Florida from kicking something in the locker room. And I suggest, in fact, Spencer Rattler actually came through the studio yesterday recording some stuff, and I suggest him, I'm like, we need to get him one of those like little scooters. They can put his knee on and just go up and down the sidelines. And he said he was on board with that, or a Segway. I thought Segway was actually pretty cool.
Spencer said Segway?
Spencer said Segway.
Wow.
Or the one wheel that people have now.
Ooh, that works too.
I don't know. I think he might break the other foot if he did that.
You gotta just avoid becoming a meme like Dooley.
Yes, I've seen it. Have you been sent a couple different iterations of the Dooley meme?
I have not, but I'm just saying I could see that becoming a thing.
I also suggested yesterday, remember Georgia State basketball coach Ron Hunter when they were in the tournament and he's on like the rolly desk chair? Get one of those.
And did he injure his knee celebrating?
I think he did, because his son
tore his ACL or something.
RJ hit like the game-winning shot. I think they were playing Duke that year, and he fell off the chair and hurt his knee.
Pretty funny.
Yeah, you got to avoid the stool or the... Who coached from the...
That's Hugh Freeze from the hospital bed of the press box.
The dental chair.
I didn't know if that was like real or if my brain just created that.
That has been memed.
They played Syracuse. They lost the game 24-0, and Dino Babers, like, instead of shaking his hand in midfield, just like gives a thumbs up to the box that he's in.
I'm just going to go on a limb and say Shane Beamer is going to avoid any and all of those things at all costs.
Might just have a boot.
Yeah.
Apparently, it wasn't booted yesterday.
He's limping a little bit. That's why I got called out on it.
Yeah.
That's caused some conversation, though.
Oh, boy. And Feinbaum's talking about it. There's a story on ESPN. Like, people are really... Right, look, we've all been frustrated after a game or whatever. And, usually when foot takes on object usually wins. But you're caught up in the heat of the moment. I get it.
I'm going to sound like a complete homer here, but I just don't care. Feinbaum... I'm trying to find his quote real quick.
Oh, actually, I have the quote.
Yeah, you have it? You don't have to play it.
Let's see here.
Tough to get to. But
Dave, can you play the Feinbaum quote for us? Only about 30 or so seconds. Last one from the today's cut list.
The producer just asked me to react to that. I don't really know what to say. I mean, this guy was laughing about it, cajoling, thinking, it was like a high school frat prank. This is a head football coach at a major SEC school, and he breaks his foot in frustration. If he had shown half that effort in trying to stop Florida from blowing them to pieces at the end of that game, I think maybe the season wouldn't be on the brink and going straight down the toilet. But that was really incredible.
I didn't realize Beamer plays on defense too.
See, that is what I was about to say. My pet peeve is when people say, well, if you'd have spent just as much energy on that doing this, then that doesn't even, like, I guess it's a cute quote, but he kicked the thing after the game, and he wasn't out there tackling people. So, I get it. It's funny. It's like a thing, I guess you say to poke. It literally does not make sense. Like that's one of my pet peeves when people say stuff like that. Well, and saying that they did, if it would have shown more, they showed plenty of effort. You could say, like, they didn't do a great job.
Well, and Beamer's not exactly stoic on the sidelines. He's pretty emotional.
Yeah. He plays the entire game, like, from the sidelines.
Pretty much.
So, I don't know. If you're gonna say something trying to be funny, at least make it make sense. I know this is what Feinbaum does, though. Like, this is his whole career, is just saying reactionary things.
And then we act surprised by it.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. I just think
some people do.
I don't know. But I do think there is, there's a thing here now, and it is a thing, that when coaches give you coach speak, we complain about coach speak, and then when coaches tell you exactly what happened, we complain that, he threw his players under the bus. So do you want coach speak, or do you want to know what happened?
Yeah, it's the same thing, but he's not showing enough emotion. Well, not like that.
Yeah, he's not showing. Oh man, too emotional.
Show emotion, not that way. No, that's not what I meant.
Not that way. Yeah, the bottom line is just losing is a brain breaker.
Yeah, if you're not winning, then the people complain about the press conferences, but they really don't care about the press conference. They're going to complain either way.
Yes.
Just win.
It's a double standard. That'll do it for today's edition of the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour, presented by Firehouse Subs. The halftime show with myself and Elijah Campbell coming up next as Wednesday rolls on here on the game.
Susie Schuster and Amy Trask present offbeat conversations and expert sports commentary as they ask, what the football?
When my family found out how long it took me to figure out why Charles Woodson named his wine Intercept, they said, there's a reason that you had trouble in school.
Not everyone knows, when they think of a bottle of Intercept, they don't know that I play football.
Well, what I've learned is a smooth defensive back can make smooth wine.
That's what it's all about.
What the Football with Susie Schuster and Amy Trask. The podcast is available Tuesdays, wherever you listen.
At Southern Company, we know the right solutions start with the right questions. How do we deliver reliable energy and overcome unpredictable challenges? How do we get to net zero carbon emissions and ensure communities thrive? How do we deliver affordable energy today and tomorrow? Southern Company, building the future of energy.
In 1995, veteran police officer Michael Chappell was convicted of armed robbery and murder and has spent the past 30 years in prison. The true crime podcast, In the Land of Lies, explores the untold side to this story, one that could prove Michael Chappell is actually innocent. See why people are calling In the Land of Lies incredible, phenomenal, and a must-hear podcast. Binge the entire series now, and new episodes are coming soon. Imperative Entertainment presents In the Land of Lies. Get the podcast wherever you listen.
We're all juggling life, a career, and trying to build a little bit of wealth. The Brown Ambition Podcast with host Mandy and Tiffany the Budgetnista can help.
I'm not here to tell you what to do, but I'm here to tell you what I would do, which is I ain't filing for bankruptcy. Unless I owed $1 million, something crazy, then I'm like, if that makes sense. People be filing for bankruptcy for some old $10,000. No, there are other alternatives to filing for bankruptcy that won't curtail your ability to make money. You want to know some of them? Here you go. There's credit counseling.
Brown Ambition.
Wherever you listen.